paradrama tales.
He left me everything, almost $500,000. But now, his new wife and family are demanding. I hand it all over. After nearly 20 years together, a painful breakup and his sudden death. I'm left wondering who really deserves this legacy. We were together for almost 20 years, 2 decades of shared memories, challenges, and growth. Yet, we never married. It wasn't because we didn't love each other. It just never felt necessary. We built a life without the traditional ceremony, without the legal promises, and without children to raise together. It was our choice, and for a long time it worked. He decided to get a vasectomy because I had problems with birth control. It was a decision we made together, a sign of trust and commitment, without the need for a wedding ring or a piece of paper. We were partners in every sense, through the ups and downs, the quiet moments, and the big life decisions. Our relationship was unconventional, but it was real and deeply meaningful. Despite our commitment, things changed when I found out he had cheated on me 3 years ago. That betrayal shattered the foundation of our relationship, and I chose to leave. He moved on quickly, marrying his affair partner just 6 months later. It was painful, a wound that took time to heal. A year into my new relationship, I discovered I was pregnant. It was unexpected, and we weren't even there yet as a couple, but we decided to make it work. Our new family brought me happiness and hope, a fresh start after so much heartbreak. Looking back, those 20 years with my ex weren't perfect, but they shaped me. We had something real, even if it wasn't defined by marriage or children. Our story was about connection and partnership choices made on our terms. But that long history also meant there were lingering emotions, unresolved feelings, and complicated ties that didn't disappear overnight. When he passed away, those 2 decades weighed heavily on my heart. It wasn't just about the past, it was about everything we shared, everything we lost, and everything left unsaid. This chapter of my life is a reminder that love doesn't always follow a traditional path. Sometimes it's messy, painful, and unfinished. But it's real. And it stays with you no matter where life takes you next. ChatGPT said, 3 years ago, everything I thought I knew about us came crashing down. I discovered he had been unfaithful. He cheated on me. It was a betrayal that shattered the trust we had built over nearly 2 decades. The man I thought I knew, the partner I had shared so much with, had hidden a secret that broke the foundation of our relationship. We had been together for so long, without the formalities of marriage, and I believed our bond was unbreakable. But betrayal has a way of making you question everything you're worth, your judgment, and the future you had envisioned. I felt lost, heartbroken, and angry all at once. The pain of his actions was more than just emotional. It was the unraveling of years of shared dreams. He didn't try to hide it for long. Soon after, he moved on with the person he had betrayed me with. 6 months later, they were married. It was a cruel twist of fate that stung deeply, especially knowing that life was moving forward for him while I was left to pick up the pieces. In the midst of this, I began a new chapter with my current boyfriend. A year into our relationship, I found out I was pregnant. It was unexpected and came at a complicated time, but it also brought hope and love into my life again. We weren't there yet as a couple, but we chose to make it work, to build a family filled with happiness and possibility. The betrayal haunted me, though. It left scars that sometimes felt too heavy to carry. Even when my ex reached out on birthdays or holidays, I never responded. When he sent a hurtful text accusing me of cheating, I chose silence because engaging would only reopen wounds. Then just 4 months ago, he ended his life. The shock of his death was overwhelming, complicated by the fact that his new wife was expecting their child any day. It felt surreal. This man, who had once been my partner, was gone, leaving behind a tangled web of emotions, memories, and unfinished business. That betrayal changed everything, but it didn't erase the history we shared or the impact he had on my life. It's a painful truth that I continue to wrestle with as I navigate the complicated feelings of loss, forgiveness, and moving forward. About 4 months ago, my world was shaken again, not by words or actions, but by silence that could never be broken. My ex, the man I had loved and lost to betrayal, took his own life. The news hit me like a thunderbolt. It was sudden, tragic, and left me with a flood of emotions I wasn't prepared for. Then, unexpectedly, I received a message from his solicitor. It was a letter accompanied by news that I had inherited his estate. Everything, his house, his savings, almost his entire life's work was left to me. The only exceptions were small portions given to his parents' pension and his nephew. I was stunned. After all we'd been through, the betrayal, the breakup, the new life I'd built, this was not what I expected. Along with the letter came a handwritten note from him. In it, he apologized for everything he had done, for the pain he caused me. He spoke of love, his love for me, despite everything, and wished happiness for me and my new family. He said he wanted to help us to be a part of our lives in some way, even after he was gone. Reading those words was like hearing a final goodbye, a confession from a man who had made mistakes but still cared deeply. It stirred a mix of emotions, sorrow, confusion, and a strange kind of closure. I found myself wondering what had been going through his mind in those last days and what regrets he carried with him. But this unexpected inheritance opened another chapter, a complicated one. His new wife was soon to give birth to their child, and his family was furious. They demanded that I give them everything, insisting that I should do the right thing. The pressure was intense, and the situation became a painful tug-of-war between honoring his wishes and facing the anger of those left behind. I stood at a crossroads, torn between my past and my present, between legal rights and moral dilemmas. Keeping the inheritance felt like honoring the man I once loved despite the wounds. But the weight of family conflict made every decision feel heavier. That letter, his final words, reminded me that love and regret can coexist, and sometimes the end is just the beginning of a new difficult journey. When I first learned that I had legally inherited my ex's estate, I was overwhelmed not just by the sheer size of what was left to me, but by the complex emotions and moral questions swirling in my mind. Legally, it was clear the will named me as the primary beneficiary, giving me the right to the assets. But morally, that was a far more tangled web. On one hand, I felt that accepting the inheritance was honoring his last wishes, the final message he left me in his own handwriting, apologizing and expressing love. It felt like a form of closure, a way to acknowledge the complicated history we shared, and perhaps even a chance to heal some of the pain from the past. On the other hand, his new wife was about to give birth to his child, and his parents were grieving too. Their anger and demands that I relinquish everything to them forced me to confront uncomfortable questions. Was I doing the right thing by keeping what was left to me? Could I justify holding on to an inheritance when others felt more entitled? Would keeping the estate feel like a betrayal to the memory of the man we both loved in different ways? The law was unambiguous, but human emotions rarely are. This inheritance became more than just property or money. It was a symbol of loyalty, forgiveness, and legacy. I had to wrestle with what it meant to respect his wishes while also acknowledging the pain it caused others. I found myself navigating a landscape where legal rights clashed with moral dilemmas. It made me realize how complex family dynamics can become after death, especially when love, betrayal, and new beginnings intertwine. The question wasn't just, can I keep this, but should I keep this? And what does it mean for all of us? Ultimately, this wasn't a simple decision with a clear answer. It was about balancing respect for the past with compassion for the present, about defining what justice and loyalty mean in a fractured family. And it taught me that sometimes doing what's legally right doesn't always ease the heart's struggle. In this space between law and morality, I had to find my own path forward, one that honored the man I once loved, my new family, and most importantly, myself. After everything, the years with my ex, the heartbreak, the betrayal, and his sudden death, I found myself building something entirely new. A family filled with hope, love, and fresh beginnings. My current boyfriend and I weren't ready for a child when we first got together. We were still figuring out our relationship, navigating the uncertainties of a new chapter. But life surprised us, and soon I was pregnant. This new family brought joy I hadn't expected. It wasn't about replacing the past, but about creating something different, a future grounded in healing and happiness. Every smile from our little one reminded me that love after loss is possible. It doesn't erase the pain, but it softens the edges and brings light to even the darkest memories. Raising a new family while carrying the weight of the past is complicated. Sometimes I feel torn between memories of what was and hopes for what could be. The legacy of my ex's life and death lingers, intertwined with the laughter and first steps of my child. It's a delicate balance, honoring the past while fully embracing the present. My new partner and I are building our own traditions, our own story. We talk openly about our fears and dreams, knowing that love isn't about perfection, but about standing together through everything. Our family is a testament to resilience, the ability to grow despite heartbreak, to love despite loss. This journey taught me that families come in many forms. Sometimes they're defined not by titles or years, but by the strength to love again. It's a lesson in courage, forgiveness, and the enduring power of hope. And as we face each new day, I'm reminded that life doesn't have to be bound by the past. Love can bloom anew, bringing peace and purpose even when the road here has been anything but easy. Grieving in silence is one of the hardest battles to face. After my ex's death, the flood of emotions was overwhelming: sorrow, confusion, regret, and even anger. It wasn't just mourning the loss of a man, but wrestling with the complex history we shared, the betrayal, and the unresolved feelings that lingered between us. I didn't have the space or words to express all of it openly. There was no easy way to mourn someone who had hurt me deeply, yet whose absence left a void. The silence became a weight, pressing down on me in quiet moments when memories surfaced unexpectedly. The loss felt layered with grief, not only for him, but also for the years we lost, the broken promises, and the family we never became. Regret crept in as well. I wondered if things could have been different, if we could have healed, forgiven, or even simply talked more honestly. But life doesn't always give us those second chances. His sudden passing meant no closure, no opportunity to reconcile or say goodbye properly. I also felt isolated because others around me had their own versions of grief. His new wife was about to have their child. His family was grieving in their own way, and I was left navigating this alone. People don't often expect the ex to carry so much emotion, so much pain. In those quiet moments, I learned that grief isn't linear. It's messy and complicated, filled with contradictions. You can love and hate, forgive and resent, feel loss and relief all at once. The silence taught me the importance of self-compassion, of allowing myself to feel without judgment. Grieving in silence is a deeply personal journey. It requires patience, courage, and sometimes the strength to seek help or find safe spaces to express what words cannot capture. For me, it was about learning to hold space for all those feelings, painful as they were, and slowly finding a way forward toward healing and peace. When I received the news that I was the primary beneficiary of my ex's estate, I was overwhelmed with conflicting emotions. It wasn't just about the money or the property. It was about ownership of our shared past, the history we had built together over nearly 2 decades. In that moment, I realized this inheritance wasn't just a legal matter. It was a symbolic bridge connecting the life we once shared with the life I am building now. Honoring his wishes felt like honoring a part of him, the part that still cared, that wanted to make amends, and that recognized the bond we had despite everything. His handwritten letter, full of apologies and love, was a final expression of vulnerability and regret. Holding that letter in my hands, I understood that this inheritance was more than just assets. It was his way of saying goodbye, a gesture that acknowledged our past and my place in it. But owning this inheritance also meant owning the memories, the good, the bad, and the complicated. It meant accepting that our story wasn't neatly tied up or forgotten, but living on in tangible form. The house, the savings, the estate, they were reminders of a life chapter that shaped who I am today. Keeping the estate felt right to me. It was a way to reclaim the respect and dignity I deserved, a way to say that the years we spent together mattered. It was also a step toward healing, allowing me to move forward without erasing the past. Yet this decision was not without its challenges. His new wife and family wanted me to relinquish everything, and the pressure was immense. But honoring his wishes was my way of setting boundaries, of saying that I would not be erased or sidelined simply because our paths diverged. Ownership of the past is a delicate balance between respect, memory, and moving forward. This inheritance is mine to carry not as a burden, but as a testament to the life we shared, and the strength it gave me to build a new future. In accepting this gift, I honor not just him, but myself, for surviving, for forgiving, and for choosing my own path. Choosing what's right for me wasn't easy. When I inherited my ex's estate, it opened old wounds and brought new challenges. His new wife and family demanded that I give it all away, and the pressure to conform to what others thought was right was intense. But in the end, I had to listen to my own heart. This inheritance wasn't just about money or property. It was about honoring a complicated past, respecting his final wishes, and reclaiming my own story. Keeping it meant acknowledging the years we spent together, the love, the pain, and everything in between. It meant standing up for myself, for my dignity, and for the future I'm building with my new family. I know this decision might not be easy for everyone to understand. It's messy, emotional, and full of gray areas. But life rarely gives us neat answers, especially when it comes to love and loss. What matters most is that we choose what feels true to us, even when it's hard. If you're watching this and facing tough choices, whether about family inheritance or complicated relationships, remember that your feelings are valid. You don't owe anyone your peace or your power. Sometimes choosing what's right for you is the bravest and most necessary thing you can do. If this story touched you or made you think, please subscribe. There are many more stories like this. Real stories about love, heartbreak, and finding strength in the hardest moments. Together, we can learn to navigate life's complexities with courage and grace.